Okay, folks, now that the Palantir euphoria is kind of settling in and the bears are slowly but surely starting to get out of their cave, we're here to talk about myth versus reality. Now, over the next few days, few weeks, you're going to hear a lot of bears or bears in disguise or a lot of skeptics talk about the problems with the Palantir valuation, with the fact that there is no way that this company can justify the insane amount of expectations, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to address that. I have an article I want to show you from CNBC, kind of representing that. Also, I heard Jason Calacanis talk about Palantir, and I have a lot of insights about this that I'm sure you want to hear because some of it he got right, but a lot of it really ticked me off. And I'm not going to just stay silent because it's Jason Calacanis. I don't care. And also, Chad from Palantir shared a very interesting video I'll show you in a second, which is a lot more important than people think. Now, first of all, we have to talk about the earnings. I mean, the earnings are insane. We can't just ignore it, right? So let's go over the numbers. I have it right here. So we had US commercial growth, 54%, which is absolutely out of this world. The government revenue was 45%. I think a lot of people will tell you that this is the lumpiness, end of year spending by the government, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe it is to an extent, but nevertheless, I think it's a huge confidence boost to the fact that we are in an arms race. Governments are spending a lot more on AI, specifically the US government. That 45% growth, I don't think it was arbitrary, and I think we're going to see more and more government work. My good friend Amir actually talked about it. He thinks that the government is actually the sleeper, a growth engine of Palantir, not so much the commercial, or at least the huge difference that we thought, in which commercial is going to drive the buzz of the next few years and government is just going to be lagging behind. That's not going to happen, right? And I tend to agree. Based on what we've seen this quarter, 45% growth, definitely. Now, a lot of people are not going to talk about it, but they have almost $2 billion in total contracted value in Q4, which is a 56% increase year over year. That is insane. Rule of 40 of 81, which Alex Karp absolutely killed in the earnings call when he said they might have to change the name of the rule because it's just not fair to the other guys. Even in guidance, I mean, the guidance was phenomenal. 860 million, that's Q1 guidance, and the full year of 3.75 billion. That's a 31% growth guidance, absolutely phenomenal. And it's really crazy to think that just in 2022, this company made $1.4 billion of revenue. And now, just a couple of years later, we're at 3.75 billion, and everybody's treating it like it's normal. It's not normal. It's pretty impressive. Now, the guidance is absolutely out of this world. We have Q4 revenue, 36% increase. We have a 63% free cash flow margin. The net dollar retention is up to 120%, which is probably one of the best on the S&P 500. Institutional shareholding of Palantir is up to 51%, which will add a lot of stability to the share price and a lot of kind of maturity into the investing community of Palantir. And Palantir is sitting on a deal value of $5.4 billion, which means that even if we don't add any more contracts for a whole year, Palantir is going to grow from this year to next year just based on the existing deals they haven't promoted yet or executed on yet, right? Now, we can run Palantir through our stock MVP scorecard just to show you how good it is. I think it's absolutely insane. So this is the stock MVP scorecard. This is Palantir on it. And as you can see, the score here is 90. 90 is one of the highest scores you can score on this. I think the only company that beats Palantir here is maybe Meta. Not sure, maybe NVIDIA, but it's definitely in the top 5. They score perfectly on everything. Revenue, margins, cash versus debt, short interest, institutional shareholding, scalability, everything except price to earnings. Obviously, price to earnings is very, very high with Palantir, and that's why you're seeing the score go to 90. But again, this thing is going to grow into its valuation. It always does. There's always a premium to be paid with buying the best company of its kind. It's never going to change. You're not going to get a bargain on a company that's the best at its category, which everybody wants to own. It's the 90-10 rule, right? If you are one of the, let's say, if you're one of the best in the business, right? If you're top percent in your category, so whether you're an accountant, a doctor, mathematician, whatever, if you're in the top 10% in your profession, in your category, right? You're going to make 90% of the money. So the top 10% of any profession, any category, they make 90% of the money. And then the rest, the other 90% is chasing 10% of the money. The same thing with dating, right? The top 10% of dudes are being chased by 90% of women. And the other 90% of dudes are basically fighting over the bottom 10% of ladies. I mean, it's always been like this. And Palantir is that top 10% dude. There's no mistakes about it. They're the best physician, the best surgeon, the best architect, the best marine biologist, the best import exporter. They are Art Vandelay. If you get the joke, comment below. So the point is, they're going to be trading at a premium, always. It's never going to change. They're not going to be a cheap stock at any point. So yes, they are expensive. Yes, this isn't a stock for everyone. And I totally understand if some people think it's too expensive for them, and I get it, right? But then again, they were saying it's expensive when it went from 7 to 20, from 20 to 50, from 50 to 100. So the people who told you this is expensive basically said it, 1,500% ago. I think that this stock has a potential to do 4 to 7x from here in the next 5 years. Why do I think this? Well, again, I'm going to show you here the stock MVP. Let's run the quick model here. So on the model, right? And some people may be angry at me for this, but I don't care. So let's say we're looking at, let's say, 35% conservative growth, and let's do 60% optimistic growth, right? And we adjust the discount rates here to 10%, and let's see how much we get here. So Palantir, based on this specific little thing we did, just out of a kind of quick glance, the floor is $272 per share, which is pretty much, the size of a Salesforce, right? A little bit bigger, maybe, Oracle. And then the upside is $636 per share, which is a 500% upside from here. This is that 1 trillion plus business that I've been saying it is since 2020, right? Now, I do want to also talk to you a little bit about the fact that this is not the only thing on our plate today. And while I'll also show you here in Stock MVP, so you see I'm not blowing smoke up your butt, that institutional shareholding has been going up quite aggressively with Palantir, and it actually is higher than I checked a few days ago. So it's up to 52%. So I actually gave you bad information. So we have 52% institutional ownership on Palantir, but more importantly, look at the trend. This blue trend shows you the institutional shareholding over the course of the last few years. So while sell-side analysts were telling you that this is an expensive stock, institutions were buying up. Just a couple of years ago, the institutional shareholding was 30%. It's currently at 52. I mean, the rich people who are telling you on TV this is expensive are buying it. It's not like you can say, well, this is a retail stock, 70% owned retail. No. It's 52% owned institutional. And do you think these guys are idiots buying it at this price because they're morons? I don't think they're morons at all. I think they're pretty smart. The world is changing, Cheap AI is a thing. We'll talk about that in a second, and Palantir is going to be basically in high demand, just like coal became in high demand when James Watt came out with his steam engine and the Jevons paradox. LLM's cheap, good for Palantir. I mean, it's just a question of time until this becomes a reality. Now, I do want to show you something really cool here. There's a very good tweet from Chad from Palantir, which I want to share with you here. And on this tweet, he actually has a video, which I want you to take a look at, right? So I'm going to make the video bigger, and I want you to pay attention to what you're seeing here on the screen. So on the screen right now, what you're seeing is basically AIP. Now, I'm going to start the video, and you're going to see what they pop up in, right? So they pop up in all this menu to show you one thing. The point this video was supposed to make, and it's a very valid and important point, is that AIP is so phenomenal because you can literally switch between different existing large language models as if they were socks. You can put whatever pair of socks you want, and that thing, is going to switch seamlessly, like it's nothing. It's absolutely LLM agnostic. So if you think Palantir is bothered by DeepSeek or whomever, they don't care. They don't care. That's not the point. Now, I think what's more important here is look at which models are being highlighted. And I think there's a little bit of a hint here. You've got Grok, and it's not by accident that Grok is on that list. I think that the bromance between Elon Musk and Alex Karp starts to basically become this Jerry Rice, Joe Montana bromance. They're aligned. They think the same about the issues. They're very revolutionary. They don't care what other people think about them. Elon Musk just tweeted a few days ago that he likes Alex Karp. I think this Grok thing is just the beginning of a beautiful friendship, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. We'll see. To me, this is a flex. I think it's a flex, but we'll see. I mean, I don't really know. Now, I do want to show you some really smart people saying really not so smart things about Palantir, right? So this thing you're seeing right now on the screen, this is from CNBC, and the article says Palantir's valuation appears detached from reality when compared to the rest of the S&P 500. And obviously in this article, what they're going to do, they're going to talk about the fact that the P ratio, it is just too expensive. The price to sales is too expensive. Okay. So let's kind of look at it, right? Fundamentals remain robust, but Palantir would have had to accelerate growth by 50% for 4 years and trade at blah, 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 blah. Okay. So they're basically quoting Brent Thiel, who already admitted he was wrong about Palantir on live TV. I think I heard him say, I'm wrong. I don't know. But he has a target price of $28. I mean, what you going to do with this? Now, I also want to show you this little clip right here from Jason Calacanis, right? So I love his show, and I actually love Jason. I think he's one of the best in the business.
Easy to use software.
I want to show his promotion, but now let's talk. He's going to talk about Palantir, and what he's going to say about Palantir really here is very interesting, right? I don't want to take too much time of this, but I do want to show you the important stuff. So check this out. I'll play it for a minute, and then I'll stop and I'll tell you my opinion.
He looks like he is so hyped, and he is talking to retail investors during the call. So he's like, for retail investors, and he kind of like says something to the effect of, if you're excited about like killing bad guys and like working with like 3-letter agencies or whatever, and this is like the company for you. If you were to look at the actual reality of the value of the company, it's a $230 billion market cap. They're making $4 billion. So that is 60 times or so, or if you did trailing, it would be 80 times, but let's call it 60, 70 times their sales is their valuation, not their earnings. Their price to earnings ratio is over 500.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
So basically in this clip, Jason goes on and he makes a few points here. He definitely gives props to Palantir, to Alex Karp. He's not a hater, he's not a bear, but he does say a few things here which I think that are a little bit obsolete. Number one, that's just part of the clip, but in the conversation, it almost kind of the subtext is that how dare Alex Karp talk to retail investors during the earnings call? Oh my God. How dare he acknowledge that retail investors matter? That automatically means that this is a meme stock, this is a GameStop, this is AMC. The moment the CEO starts acknowledging the retail investors, this means it's a meme stock. And look at the price to earnings, it has to be a meme stock, right? To me, I never liked the idea of treating retail investors as garbage, as some redundant thing in the stock market. as if the only thing that matters is the Wall Street institutional investors, and the retail investors can go fuck themselves. I never liked that approach. And I'm not saying that Jason has this approach. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that his shock at the fact that Alex Karp likes retail investors, talks to retail investors, gives them credit, the shock represents this old way of thinking of, okay, retail investors, they don't matter. And if you acknowledge them, well, that means you just want to pump and dump the stock. And I think it's a mistake because the world has changed. I mean, retail investors drive the market. They drive the market. And the fact that he acknowledges that and he talks to the community doesn't mean it's a meme stock. Even if the PE is high, and yes, the PE is going to be very, very high for a while, get used to that or don't invest. And can Palantir correct? Sure, Palantir can be $40 tomorrow. It can collapse 50% in a couple of days. Easy. It's a very volatile stock. But guess what? If it collapses to $40, I'm going to be buying like crazy. And if you can't adopt that approach because you don't like the stock or you're a value investor or you have your own rules and discipline, I respect that. And if you've made a lot of money on Palantir and you want to sell now because it's too much risk, I respect that as well. Go crazy. That's not for everyone. I'm not here to preach to tell you what to do. The other thing is that he was also, Jason Calacanis in the video was kind of, had this kind of, a little bit of a distance from the Alex Karp statement, we kill bad guys. That's not a bad thing, Jason. I mean, we shouldn't be ashamed of that at all. We shouldn't be treating it, bad guys in this, in silk gloves. Oh my God, the bad guys, due process. No, if it's bad guys, it's enemies on the battlefield. It's a good thing that they, eliminate the bad guys. I don't think there's a reason to be ashamed of that. I think that's a very distorted way of thinking. And I'm not saying that Jason has that way of thinking. I'm just saying that him kind of, flinching. Alex Karp said, "Oh, we kill bad guys on behalf of the U.S. government." There's nothing to flinch about. That's a good thing. Now, unfortunately, as I mentioned before, my academy is currently full. It's full to the brim. We closed it at 10,000. We reopened it for 24 hours as a celebration for Palantir earnings. Now it's at 11,500. Sorry. So 1,500 people joined in 24 hours. So now we're almost at 12,000 members. It is closed. We're in the process of hiring a whole new team where we need to train them. There's a guy we just hired today, and he's being trained by Greg, by my community manager. It's going to take a while. We're going to hire at least 2 or 3 more people. The infrastructure to handle so many students, it's a completely different setup than, a couple thousand. So it's going to take time. So that's why the academy is going to be closed until we're ready to reopen. And even then, we're going to reopen very gently. We're going to let a few more people in. There's not going to be any more this avalanche of 1,500 people in a single day. Greg is still working on support tickets, on onboarding people from 24 hours ago. I mean, that's insane. So that is why you cannot join the academy. It is what it is. We'll let you know when it's open. Meantime, what you can do is you can go in Discord and you can join the Discord membership. That's like $5 a month. And that way, when we reopen the academy, you're going to have basically priority, because the first thing we do is we're going to let the Discord members join, and then we're going to open it to the general public. So join the Discord. It's like $5 a month. And then when we reopen, you can upgrade and basically get in the academy if you're so inclined. And if you're not, it's also fine by me. Huge shout out to Alex Karp. Huge shout out to Palantir. Absolutely stellar earnings. I could not be more proud to be a Palantir shareholder. The haters can keep hating. I don't care. I don't care about the credit. I don't need any victory laps. All I need is to keep making money and making money for my community. That's the only thing I care. As long as my members, my students are making money, they stay disciplined, they learn DCA, they prepare themselves for a bad time if the market should basically collapse. They know exactly what to do. We're building strong habits here for every weather. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. And, everybody can take credit. If you believe in Palantir, take your victory lap. Why not? I mean, I'm all for it. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.